It's September 27th. I'm Ezra Levant, and you're watching Battleground. Oh, hi, everybody. Ezra Levant's my name. I am the Rebel Commander here at rebelnews.com. We used to be called the Rebel.media, but I think rebelnews.com is a better name. What do you think? We got some schmancy new logos, as you can see right down here. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? What I do every Friday, if I'm able to, sometimes I'm traveling on Fridays, but if I'm here, I like to do a live chat or a super chat, as YouTube calls it, which basically means I blather and you can blather back. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the comments ticking by on the page, and if you want to make your comment in highlight, so I see it out of the corner of my eye, you can do that. That's called a super chat. It costs you a few bucks, but it's fun. It's brightly colored. It is appended to the top of that chat box there, and I do see it out of the corner of my eye, and I make my best effort to reply to every super chat. So, and the good news is YouTube actually shares 70% of that with us, so it helps us out too. Today, of course, is Greta Day. And Greta is the Asperger's-y, mentally ill, depressed, selective mutist girl from Sweden, a teenager. She's 16, but she looks 12, who is hectoring and lecturing the West. Now you might say, Ezra, how dare you say she's mentally ill? You're right. How dare I? So let her say it. Here's Greta Thunberg explaining how mentally ill she is.
So when I was 11, I became ill. I fell into depression. I stopped talking and I stopped eating. In 2 months, I lost about 10 kilos of weight. Later on, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism.
Really? 10 kilos for my American friends is, I guess Canadians weigh themselves in pounds too. That's 22 pounds. So an 11-year-old girl, I don't know any 11-year-old girls who are more than 100 pounds. I mean, unless she's a giant, and she's obviously not. She lost a quarter of her weight. She was so depressed. She was so mentally ill. You heard her. She stopped talking. She stopped eating. And her parents, instead of dropping everything and caring for her and doing what it takes to make her well, her parents strut her out on the stage like some freakish beauty pageant mom, obsessive, just for financial and emotional payoff from their own daughter. I want to show you, I mean, that's Greta. And my chief feeling is she is being abused, probably being abused in many ways, like many child stars are. I'm sorry, I wouldn't put a 16-year-old girl in a boat with men crossing the ocean without a chaperone there. I'm sorry, why would you do that? We know how Hollywood treats young girls and boys. Why would you put a mentally ill girl in a box like that? Why would you put a mentally ill girl into the thrust of things? Well, let me show you what her pageant mom is like. Her mother, I won't lie, she's talented. She's a talented opera singer, but she's much more than just an opera singer. She's a crazy celebrity, fame-obsessed woman who is, like I said, like those crazed pageant moms, living vicariously through her daughter. Let me show you a clip from Swedish TV of Greta's mum. And listen, I don't mind strangeness in the fine arts. It's not to everyone's taste. I don't understand a word of Swedish, so the only word I understand this whole thing is pizza. But you tell me, is this exactly what you would think Greta's pageant mom would look like? Take a look.
Nu ska jag ner och handla lite mat. Det är inget konstigt alls. Nej, nej, nej. Och det är inte en massa assistenter och sådant som folk kanske tror. Nej, nej, bara jag och mina dansare. Jag handlar precis som vanligt folk gör. Tacos och pizza. Och jag har ingen rysk kaviar här, inte som folk kanske tror. Nej, nej, nej.
I don't understand a bloody word of that. I don't need to understand a word of it to say that's cray. That is crazy. And I don't think that Greta needs a crazy person as her stage mom, pageant mom right now. Let me show you what Greta looked and sounded like at the United Nations the other day. This is being held up as passion and powerful. I see this as what it is. You heard Greta herself tell you, mental illness, starved herself, deep depression, Asperger's, selective mutism, stop talking, stop eating, lost a quarter of her body weight. But that is what makes her so raw and suicidal. What I see here is a suicidal teen. What do you see?
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
I'm sorry, what I see there is a girl who's not acting, a girl who is deeply disturbed, whose apocalyptic depression is being encouraged by cheers. You heard the cheering. I think she's genuinely mentally disturbed by things. When she says, how dare you, I should be on the other side of the ocean in school. Yeah, we didn't bring you here, sister. Your mom sent you here so she can strut around Sweden going, nay, 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 or whatever the hell that was. I share your appall. Those are not fake tears. The reason Greta is so effective is that we're all watching an emotional human car crash together in real life. She's not an actress. Her mom's an actress. Her dad is an activist. They're all Antifa supporters. They're all radical leftists. There's big money behind them. It's like a boy band. But what they're selling is not cute pop songs. It's the daughter's mental illness and deep depression and apocalyptic warnings. They were cheering her. You heard them. She was crying and they were whooping it up. They couldn't get enough of it. Just terrifying. Now, you could see she had a script there. As you heard her before, she said she stopped talking and she has selective mutism. That means periods of time goes by and she just won't talk. Like she just will not talk. That's what mutism is. It's not autism, although I'm sure they're related. You saw she had a script there. I want to show you a friendly question from the press gallery. It's a friendly question. It couldn't be more softball. What's your message for the world? What's your message for Trump? I mean, that's not even a question. That's like, here, Greta, say what you came to say, and we will copy it down like stenographers, word for word. That's not even journalism. How could she not have an answer for that? Well, because she doesn't have an answer, because she is mentally ill and deeply disturbed and an emotional wreck. And do you doubt she's still suicidal? She effectively told you so. Watch this super friendly reporter ask her again and again. And Greta says, can you ask someone else? Take a look.
Could you please tell us what kind of message, what you are doing here today, what kind of message would you send by doing this to world leaders? And also can I ask you, do you think it's about time that President Trump would respond to what you have said today?
I think... I'm sorry, what was the first question?
What's the message you would like to send to our leaders by doing what you are doing?
I think what we want to send is... The message we want to send is to say that we have had enough. And anyone else wants to answer that question? I can't speak on behalf of everyone. Anyone wants to answer?
Yeah, she just wants someone else to answer the most basic question, because she's either psychologically too unstable to do so herself, or she just doesn't know what to say without a script, or she's emotionally disturbed. I don't know what's going on, but she got woo, woo, high five, girl, high five. There's, let me just see if there's any more. What's the cult video one that you refer to? There's one more video here, I don't know. Oh, right. I know exactly. It's a clip. I just see it here on my list. I didn't recognize it. Let me just say one thing about mental illness. You know that saying, smiles are contagious. Maybe we've talked about this before. I know that sounds ridiculous. A smile is not contagious. It's not like a virus. There's not like a smiling bacteria that if you cough on someone and you're a smiley guy, they become a smiley guy. It's not like that. But it's a psychological contagion. If you're smiling and happy, it's like laughing. It's why we have laugh tracks on comedies, right? There's a deep in our DNA. If we hear someone else laughing, we want to laugh. That's why laugh track works. It's a cue. Oh, this is funny. We should all laugh together. If someone smiles, you naturally smile back. It's as old as man. It's as old as prehistoric man. It's a way of saying, I'm not here to kill you. Hi. You know, it's like an instinct. So smiles are contagious. Yeah, because if you're happy, it's not that there's a bacterium that will pass that on. It's just embedded in us that we'll be happy too. That's just a fact. I wouldn't even call it a medical fact. I'd call it a deep, socially embedded, genetic, Darwinian thing. If someone's happy, we want to be happy too, and maybe we want to be with them because being happy is how we survive, or it's a sign we're doing well. But the opposite is true also. Depression is contagious also, again, not through a virus or a bacterium, but it's why you sometimes see suicide clusters. Because if you have a group of kids or a group of people who are all going through something disturbing together and one of them kills themselves, it creates a new possibility for the others in the group. Oh, he chose to check out. He chose to end the pain. He chose that way. I guess it's not unthinkable anymore. He thought it and did it. I'll do it too. And it's why, so terribly, you see suicide in clusters. You see it in Aboriginal communities in northern Canada, in rural Canada. You see it anywhere there's suicide in clusters. And would you agree with me that simply from an observational, numerical point of view, mental health is contagious just as much as any disease transmitted by bacterium or virus? And my point is, this girl is deeply mentally disturbed. She said so herself. We know it's true. We can so evidently see it. And her backers, her handlers, her financiers, and I hate it the most, but her parents are pushing this contagion into the world. And look at this. It's not just Greta. She's the worst of it. But look at this. They are trying to depress and maybe even suicide. That's what extinction, climate extinction. They're trying to tell us all we're all going to die. Take a look at this. We have 12 years.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. People are dying.
People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
We have 12 years.
The world is going to end in 12 years.
So, I mean, that's just a short clip I found on YouTube. I don't even, oh, by the way, I see some super chats there. Thank you very much. Irish Bob, $100. That's incredible. Thanks very much. And Proud Boys Calgary, $7. 14-year-old kid in Manchester committed suicide due to climate change. Didn't want to see the world burn. You're so right. Can you dig that up? I forgot to mention that. If you're a young person, you look up to role models. Greta Thunberg is being held up as a role model. She is being feted by everyone in the world. Today she met with Justin Trudeau. I think she sat down with Barack Obama, if I recall. She's been in parliaments of the world. She was in the United Nations. That's where I showed that clip. So she's being held up as a role model. Others, like Bill Nye, the science guy, who used to be about science but is now pure propagandist. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this young role model for women, especially young minority women, is saying we're all going to die. Well, if you're a young person, Greta's 16, she looks 12. If you're that young and everyone in authority, including your teachers, says we're going to die, that's not just a cult, that is science. I mean, Bill Nye, the science guy, it's science, we're going to die in 12 years. Is that really science? No, but it's depressing, isn't it? Imagine if you're soaked in that all day in social media, in pop culture, at school, authority figures. Do you have that Manchester suicide? I saw it on Twitter. It is absolutely unsurprising that young people are going to kill themselves. There's MVP chips and $7. Greta has been used for emotional arguments. If you can't convince rational minds, use children instead. Well, that's another thing. Her youth and her youthful looks and her raw emotion, which is actually symptoms of mental illness, are being weaponized to be used as a vector for a political message. But if you dare to push back on her, oh, how dare you beat up this girl? Why are you fighting a girl, a child? You're abusing a child. Hang on. You're taking a teenage girl who was so mentally ill she lost a quarter of her body weight. You're putting her on the stage like a piece of meat and saying, dance, do that thing you do where you fall to pieces. I love that. They'll eat that up in America. So you are the huckster. You are the child abuser. And you're saying people who object are the child abusers? No. It's deeply disturbing. I want to shift gears, but I think that's just an incredible story of Greta. And it's not the first time a kid was weaponized. I don't know if you remember, but David Suzuki brought his daughter to the United Nations about 25 years ago, Severin Cullis Suzuki. She doesn't have her dad's skill in propaganda, but she knew how to read what her dad wrote for her. And Caleb Hull, a friend of mine, did a mashup of Greta's speech and Severin's speech. And Greta was far better because Greta is so mentally ill and is coached far more professionally than Severin was. Severin has become sort of an also-ran. If you want an environmental propagandist to speak at your event and you can't come up with the $30,000 that's David Suzuki's standard fee, you can probably get Severin to come and speak for $5,000. It won't be as exciting, it'll be a little bit boring, but she was that girl back in 1992 and she's David's daughter, so if you got $5,000, it's probably worth it. Here's Caleb's mashup of Severin Cullis Suzuki 27 years ago and Greta this year.
Hello, I'm Severin Suzuki speaking for ECHO, the Environmental Children's Organization. We're a group of 12 and 13-year-olds trying to make a difference.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
I am afraid to go out in the sun now because of the holes in our ozone.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Did you have to worry of these things when you were my age? All this is happening before our eyes, and yet we act as if we have all the time we want and all the solutions.
There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable, and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is.
I am only a child, yet I know. if all the money spent on war was spent on finding environmental answers, ending poverty, and finding treaties, what a wonderful place this earth would be.
You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
Do not forget why you are attending these conferences, who you're doing this for. We are your own children. You are deciding what kind of a world we are growing up in. Parents should be able to comfort their children by saying, everything's going to be all right. It's not the end of the world, and we're doing the best we can. But I don't think you can say that to us anymore. Are we even on your list of priorities? My dad always says, you are what you do, not what you say. Well, what you do makes me cry at night. You grown-ups say you love us, but I challenge you, please, make your actions reflect your words.
We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not.
Again, the wording is similar, but Severin Suzuki was utterly unconvincing. So clear she was just reading the words written for her by a grown-up. I'm a kid, don't abandon our generation. It didn't resonate. All it wound up doing was making Severin Suzuki her dad's sort of sidekick or junior partner in the speaking circuit. Like I say, if you can't afford 30 grand for the old man, you could get her for 5 grand. She never really became a big deal. She certainly didn't do huge global media tours. I mean, she does, like I say, the speaking circuit, but nothing like Greta. Because at the end of the day, she was just a naggy kid reading, so obviously, her dad's lines. The reason why Greta is powerful is because of her mental illness. The fact that she is literally breaking down in front of you, that's the raw power of it, the emotional power. Severin Suzuki could have been reading a detergent ad. It was so bland. I mean, she read the words clearly, but it was flat. Like I say, Greta's not a child actor. She's a child patient, a mentally ill child. She said so herself. Severin is just a really boring child actor. So that's that comparison. I see Michael chipped in $5. Rebel News is hard-hitting journalism. Thank you for exposing GT, Greta Thunberg, for the Antifa puppet that she is. And Kean's interview with the defense minister. Wow, I think we have that ready. Yeah, Kean was out in, Kean Bexley, our reporter, was out in Vancouver. I think it was yesterday. And let's just show you a bit of that interaction. Take a look.
Hi, Minister. How are you? Can you tell me, did Justin Trudeau pressure you in the same way? Did he pressure you to support his blackface in the same way he pressured Eva to support his feminism?
Excuse me?
Did he pressure you to support his blackface?
I want to be very clear on this. When I go up, this is my choice, okay? So for you to insinuate that I, as somebody with a turban, can't make my own decisions, right? I kind of find very offensive. I go up because I know who he is, and I've been very clear on this about him, right? I want a leader that actually takes action, and he has done that. He's apologized for the for that incident, as I stated. He said he stated, and we all agree that it was racist then, and it's racist now. But when it comes to his actions, he has demonstrated very strong action that he has taken for all of us.
You know what I like about that? First of all, what an interesting looking man. I mean, the colors there, his turban, his tie, the bat, it was gorgeous. It's just a great, you know what, I disagree with what Harjit Sajjan says. He used to be a loyal soldier, a loyal cop, and he's just become completely liberalified. Frankly, I'm embarrassed for him. But I'm glad he stopped to talk to Kean. I'm glad he stopped to face the camera. I love the sound of his voice. I'm just telling you my personal thoughts. And in a way, that was a hell of an answer. It was racist then, and it's racist now. Oh, okay. Now, he got all huffy when he said, oh, don't you dare suggest that because I have a turban, I'm told what to say. Yeah, Keane didn't say that. He asked if you were pressured to support Trudeau's blackface in the same way that Eva Nassif was. Can we call up the Globe and Mail story on that? Eva Nassif is an Arab MP from Lebanon originally, in Quebec now. Ran for the Liberals, and I really hadn't heard of her until this week, but she seems quite lovely as Liberals go. I probably read 50 of her tweets just to see who she is, and I read the big story in the Globe and Mail. According to this story, she's an effective politician. She has a lot of membership, a lot of fundraising, a lot of door knocking. So, I mean, look, I have no idea if she stands for anything at all, but she certainly checks all the boxes. And for a party like Trudeau's Liberals that is all about checking boxes, she's a woman, and she's Arab, and she's an immigrant, and she's Quebecer, bilingual. That's like a threefer or something. And her name is Eva Nassif, Nassif, and the Globe and Mail had this incredible story about her the other day that for background on her, she was elected with the Trudeau wave in 2015, so she was vetted as a candidate in 2015. Like I say, she met all the party's requirements for fundraising and memberships and door knocking, but she was kicked out, banned as a candidate in 2019 because she would not publicly testify that Justin Trudeau is a great feminist. Just type in globeandmail.com Nassif. Or even a tweet of it is fine. She was also, according to this Globe and Mail story, she was seen, and this is the worst crime you can imagine, she was seen giving a hug to Jody Wilson-Raybould. Oh my God. You can't hug her. No. That's like hugging kryptonite if you're a Liberal. And if you're hugging Jody Wilson-Raybould, you cannot be in Justin Trudeau's campaign. There we go. Even Nassif, lovely woman, seems to be. Let me quote the headline there. Montreal area MP says Liberals forced her out for not lauding Trudeau as a feminist. Even Nassif also says that she was the subject of a continuous bullying, harassment, and intimidation by 3 male MPs since shortly after the 2015 election. And it's quite a detailed article. I think we're just having trouble getting into it because it's a paywall or something there. But good enough for Trudeau in 2015, but she's a woman who wouldn't bend the knee. She wouldn't get down on her knees. She wouldn't say, yeah, you're a great feminist, boss. The way you handled Jane Philpott and Jody Wilson-Raybould and Selena Cesar-Chavan and that other Leona Alislev, that Liberal MP who defected to the Conservatives. Like, is there any woman of character who hasn't been driven out of Trudeau's party yet? You've got to be a woman who bends the knee to Trudeau, and even Nassif would not do that. She was willing to be a loyal Liberal, but she would not publicly praise him as a feminist. I admire that character, and she's being punished for it. I thought that was very interesting. Keane's been on a tear. I want to show you this one. So Keane went to a Catherine McKenna event, and that's a woman who will say anything and do anything to please Justin Trudeau. It's so embarrassing. Oh my God. Keane didn't ask her about that, but he asked her about the fact that she has so many gasoline-burning cars as a cabinet minister, but she claims to be so eco-friendly. She was asking those questions, but the funniest thing was how the CTV reporter there started to white knight for Catherine McKenna. And I'll give you my theory about that. Don't let me forget that. You watch the video and I'll give you my theory for what happened later, but take a look for now.
Back to you with Rebel News here. You can see CTV behind me. Pathetic disgrace that they are. We were just at a presser with Catherine McKenna.
You have no credibility. Thank you.
Sorry. You want to interrupt my newscasting?
This isn't news. This isn't news. You're not news. Okay. You are fake news. Thank you.
Oh, really? And
yeah.
what are you? You asked 3 very sympathetic questions to the government today.
Mike, what is your message to those like this gentleman here and people who will never listen to what you're saying today? When you hear the President of the United States say what he said recently about why are they going after plastic straws, how difficult is it to combat the muddying of the waters when you have people advocating? When I speak to conservative supporters, or at least those who claim to be, they say the carbon tax has to go. When you talk to constituents, what are they saying about the carbon tax? Do they understand what the carbon tax is and who initially came up with it?
So residents of Ottawa Centre are supportive of our action on climate change, including a price on pollution. And to be clear, we put a price on pollution and we're giving the money back to people.
My CTV colleague here brought
We're
up
not
the president.
colleagues, but go ahead.
I know that you have problems with us.
I have no
He brought
problem.
up the president. He said something about plastic straws. I'll ask a tough question. The president said that he was surprised that Justin Trudeau. Did you just say I'm an 18-year-old?
Keep going.
Have you ever asked a critical question
You're
of a
barking up the
politician in
wrong
your
tree,
life?
buddy.
Have you ever asked a critical
You're
question?
barking up the wrong tree. Thank you.
I just want to know because
Thank you.
the questions you asked were
Thank
pretty
you.
lapdog
Next time
style.
next time when you show up to an event like this,
Pretty
be a
lapdog
professional.
style questions.
You wouldn't even know what a
You
professional
asked
is.
3 questions that were both very.
No, you wouldn't even know what a professional is. So,
Oh,
what's your name?
Got you. My name's Kian. What's your
Kian,
name?
last name?
What's
What?
your name?
You watch me on TV.
I
You know
really
my
have
name.
no
Get out of here,
idea who
please.
you
Thank you.
You're pathetic,
Get
and
a
you're
life.
you're a disgrace. University of
Smith,
Calgary.
thank you.
Wow. Ooh. Keep them coming.
Don't go wide. You're antagonizing. Thank you.
He called me an 18-year-old. Called me fake news. Said.
It goes on a little bit. It's so much fun. I got to tell you, I wish, Kian, if you're watching, I wish someone called me 18 years old. There will come a time when you miss being called 18 years old. Justin, can you go to Mark Arceliti's Twitter account and just scroll down to any of his important news stories? He had a very important one about a traffic light the other day, and then he did one from a mall that was very sad. The mall was closing. I thought we didn't show all of Kian's interaction with Catherine McKenna. It was great. But we showed the 3 questions that CTV asked. What do you say to reporters like the Rebel who just will never get it? What do you say to Donald Trump who just doesn't get it? I get it. I'm totally on your side, Minister. And here's my theory for the white knighting. I'm going to show you Mark Arceliti's, what he normally does, and you're going to see exactly what I'm... pardon me? It's Mike Arceliti's? Okay, thanks. Sorry, I thought it was Mark. Do you have any of his videos? Like, it doesn't even matter which one. The traffic light one is great. Is any of these? Why don't you run? You got to play with the audio up. Can you get one of these with the audio up? It's just too fun. His beat, like there was a 92-year-old who rode the subway. Here, just take a look at that one. Okay, we'll get that going for you. Mike's beat, sorry, I called him Mark. He goes out with a selfie stick just like our journalists do.
Hello again.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sounds like we got the audio. Go ahead.
Everyone, Mike Arceliti's with CTV Ottawa, and we are inside Tiny's pasture, and this is a special day. We are working on a great story for you. Monday at 12, 5, and 6 on CTV News. Behind me, that gentleman in the middle there, he is 91-year-old Armindo de Mace. And he came to this country in 1955, that's 64 years ago. Never owned a car in Ottawa. Always took the bus, the streetcar, got the kids wherever they needed to go, school, work, sports. Today, after turning 91, he said to his daughters, he has 7 kids, I want to take the LRT for the first time for my 91st birthday. And today, we are taking care of the tickets for the 30-plus folks who are here from the family, and we are going to ride the LRT with Armindo on his 91st birthday. And this is going to be something he's been waiting a long time to experience, and we can't wait to join him.
Well, listen, Mike or Mark or Matt or Mac or whatever it is, I think I can speak for all of us, both of us who were watching, that you're not the only one who's been waiting a long time to watch a 92-year-old man get on an LRT. I think both of your viewers have been too. Listen, you got to earn a living. Can you throw the other one up about the mall? It was too good. There was a mall that was closing, and he went to do a breaking news report. And start halfway through because it was so touching. He talked about the fact that the coffee shop in the mall had closed, and so the hair salon had to give its customers coffee. This is Mike or Mark or Matt or whatever, our Sleeties, for CTV News, coming to you live. It's way down. Keep scrolling. It's too good. You got to find it. You got to find it. Now, why am I making fun of Mark or Matt or whatever? Because he made fun of Cian. Because he said to Cian, "You're not a professional." Because he said to Cian, "I went to journalism school. You didn't." Because he called Cian 18, which I guess when you're in your early 20s, that's an insult. Let me tell you, when you're 47, you want people to say that. And if they say you don't believe me, you say, "Oh, you flatterer." But mainly because you saw him, Mac, or Matt, or whatever, Mickey. So Monty Arcelides, his tough questions for Catherine McKenna were not tough questions at all. They were an application form. That was his way of saying, I'm only making about 45 grand a year at CTV covering 92-year-old guys taking the subway as a breaking news story. You got to save me. Oh, here we go. This one is so touching. I want to start it halfway through. When he talks about the coffee, I almost cried. Here, take a look at this.
Can out of Toronto, and the plan is to put some high-rise buildings here on this location. The mall has been here for more than 45 years, and it's bittersweet. A lot of customers still coming into the remaining retailers who are here. Metro grocery store remains in place, a Rexall pharmacy, as well as a Moores. There used to be a Wendy's until that burned down a few months back, and right now it's very upsetting to a lot of folks here. A lot of seniors shop here and say this is their mall, this is their hangout spot, but when you walk inside, there's not much going on. I talked to one of the retailers here from the hair salon, and they had customers the other day in the mall wanting a cup of coffee, but there was nowhere to grab a cup of coffee in the mall because anywhere you would have gone previously, those folks have now left. And the folks at the salon were actually providing coffee to those in the mall. And it's expected this mall will be torn down later this year, and the developers will proceed. As many
bittersweet. That's a really bittersweet story. I'm not the handsomest man in the world, I confess it freely. I try and shave before I come to work, put a little makeup on to hide my rosacea. If I thought facial reconstructive surgery would help make this a little less ugly, I would do it. For God's sakes, Matt, shave. Come on, Mike, you got to shave a bit. Mark missed the story there. There is a story there that the mall's closing, and it wasn't that the coffee shop was gone. It was the fire. You know, there's this old joke, restaurateurs lightning. That's how you collect an insurance payment. Do you really believe that that store burned down by accident? I'm a skeptic. A journalist with a modicum of curiosity might look into it. Mike just said a restaurant burned down, but really it's a bittersweet story because, I mean, this guy's making fun of Cian. I'm making fun of Cian because Cian's asking accountability questions of the environment minister. Sorry, Mark, you're just not. I mean, for all your many pedigrees of your journalism. I mean, I'm sure you got journalism degrees from Harvard and Oxford and Yale. I'm going to go with Cian as the real journalist here. I'll let you cover the mall closing beat and 92-year-old taking the LRT beat. You can cover that, and we'll cover the election. I think, though, what do you think of my point is that it's actually a play for Mike there to get his job after the election as some PR flunky for Catherine McKenna. That's my theory. All right. I missed a few super chats. Let me call those up here on the screen. David Anderson, $10. Government have done a lot more damage to children's futures with deficits and debt than by failing the environment. Well, I mean, China's environment is pretty gross. I've been there myself, seen it with my own eyes. The air is foul, the water is foul, the earth is foul. You can't swim in those rivers, you can't drink from the rivers, you don't want to fish from those rivers. Why are we blaming the West, which is clean? Sweden, Canada, the United States, those are the cleanest countries in the world. Proud Boys Calgary, Simpsons did him first, Troy McClure and Bart's people. That's right, you're making fun of the goofy journalist Troy McClure in The Simpsons. I wish it were a joke. All right. Oh, we got a great donation from Matt Dugas. Thank you very much. Ezra, please get his name right and don't associate mine. I was just having some fun. But you take my point. Which one of those people there was the true accountability journalism? And yes, I acknowledge that Kean did not go to journalism school. I acknowledge that. And maybe that's why he still asks accountability questions instead of, hey, cabinet minister, can I get a job kind of questions. All right, I want to shift gears. David, our friend David Menzies, has been out and about. I think we've got him doing some streeters with the truck, am I right? Why don't you roll that? Here's David Menzies having a little fun. Take a look.
Completely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I mean, I voted for him, and now I'm sincerely regretting it. Like,
yeah, I don't think personally that it's racist, but I do think that for the amount of virtue signaling that he does and going overboard, correcting everybody else's mistakes, that he should live by his own word, you know?
To me, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Obviously, my concern really is more the hypocrisy of it. Is that, everyone else obviously can't live up to his standards, but then when you peel back the layers, you notice that he doesn't live up to the standards that he espouses himself.
He said he did blackface, he apologized for it, and I think people should leave him alone, and I'm sure he's very sorry for it. He made a mistake and he fessed up, and we should move on.
Do you know the best way to deal with the racism? Stop talking about it.
I still admire Justin Trudeau. I like Justin Trudeau. He's still a good prime minister.
What's been his best accomplishment to date, sir?
Well, I think he's just been good. He's been a good prime minister. He's been a good prime minister, and yeah.
Do you realize just how f***ing ironic this is?
In what way, ma'am?
No, I don't want to talk to you. No, I just think you guys are a piece of shit.
Oh, why is that, ma'am?
Because you're fucking rebel media. You guys, though, like, you're disgrace. You are everything that people hate about America. About America.
About America.
The hypocrisy of what you're doing right now is.
Well, what do you think about Justin Trudeau dressing up in brown face and blackface?
It was 20 years ago. Okay. Like, obviously, was it probably the right thing? No, I don't.
All right, then. So, as long as it was a while back, it doesn't matter, or doesn't this speak of a lack of judgment by Justin Trudeau?
Of course it was. I don't care. I just said I don't want to be interviewed.
Okay, then. All right, well, you approached us, ma'am. I thought you wanted to...
I just came to tell you what a piece of shit you guys are and how ashamed you should be for working for them. The quicker your generation dies off, the better we will all be.
You want me to die off? What generation are you part of?
Generation.
Oh, hello, sir. How you doing? David Menzies, Rebel News. Oh. How you doing there? We're just wondering if Sonia Sadu is in. We're doing streeters here in Brampton, asking people to weigh in on the Justin Trudeau brown-face, blackface scandal.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question. I haven't introduced myself yet. So.
Okay, then. I take it you're a worker on the campaign? Okay, then. Well, sir, what do you make of Justin Trudeau, Donny?
First of all, whose truck is this?
That is a truck that we've rented. Do the images offend you?
No, it's not about images. This truck is an advertisement truck on private property. It's not a regular visitor that is coming to the...
So you would like us to leave then, or? Hi, sir. What do you think about the Justin Trudeau brown face, blackface? Ooh, they locked the door. Oh, hey guys, did you want to come on camera? Some of the Liberal campaign workers came charging out, I think, to take pictures of our beautiful truck. And now when I direct the camera and the mic towards them, they are retreating to the big red bunker. We're just wondering how people feel about our Prime Minister, a man who says he's all about diversity and inclusion, and yet he has this checkered history of donning brownface and blackface. You know, as a person of color yourself, ma'am, how does that make you feel?
For me, I personally don't mind. I haven't met Justin Trudeau myself, but I mean, if some people, like I said, the public might feel different about what he has to say about brown, black.
Well, we know the true colors now. We know what's going on. We know what it's all about.
And he's put on blackface. He's got a T-shirt with bananas on it. And he's got this, and to say it delicately, in his pants, it looks like he's put something in his pants. And what I'm saying is, when somebody does that, he knows that that's a racist caricature.
I think it's something he did a long time ago, and maybe, you know, he was young. He's a human after all, and we as humans, we make mistakes, and he's apologized for it, and I think that's good enough.
No, I think he's an asshole myself. I don't think he has any respect for the Canadian people. He thinks we're nothing but just a paybook.
Somebody who comes from his background, who's supposedly such an internationalist, through his father and all the traveling did, he found this acceptable, and to me, he's just a racist.
Obviously, it doesn't make me feel good, but you know, I have no idea as to what the second side of the story is, but you know, it's not a good look for Justin Trudeau.
He was a drama teacher, wasn't he? So he probably dressed up a whole bunch of times and can't remember, you know.
Would you remember if you were at some function and you were wearing blackface?
I probably would, yeah. Yeah, I would.
I'm a Christian. I really think to pray for him, just not to hate him, to really love him. He's very lost. He's off on some kind of stuff, but we got to love each other in this country.
This is a prime minister, he says his brand is all about inclusion, diversity, and yet here we have him in multiple photos where he's mocking diverse people of color. How does that make you feel?
Oh, very uncomfortable. Yeah, very, very uncomfortable, you know, because it's Canada is a multicultural country, right? Yes. And he should not have done that. You cannot say something and do something else, you know?
What was he thinking?
Honestly, I don't know. So we just have to pray that God put a godly person to rule this country in Parliament, you know, to do the right thing, the honorable thing. That's what we're hoping for.
This guy is not a national leader. He's making the whole country foolish.
It goes on for a bit, but would you say that's a lot of fun? And David's pretty honest. He shows you the clips of people who are friendly and people who are mad. That one gal who said, "Oh, I hope you die off." That's not very friendly. But it was interesting. I think that white liberals are angrier with the blackface thing than some minorities who brush it off. Could be. I mean, there's some people there, like that last lady who was very mad at the blackface moment. But I think I'm going to go with it and say that white liberals are angrier than visible minorities because white liberals look to Justin Trudeau as a male version of Daenerys Targaryen. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's the albino queen in that fantasy show on HBO that just ended called Game of Thrones. She was this white savior to liberate all the visible minorities. That's basically what she did. Tribe after tribe of visible minorities, she would free them and release them, and they would join her army. She was the white princess, and they were all the visible minorities fighting with her. And she was the breaker of chains and the emancipator of slaves. And imagine finding out that this great savior, this hero, was actually racist. You would be shattered. Probably more than the slaves she freed. Now, Justin Trudeau hasn't freed anybody. But I think it was a fantasy for other white liberals. Oh, Justin Trudeau is so woke. He's so amazing. He's so great. I think it's people who bought into that illusion that were disillusioned the hardest. I don't know. That's my explanation of that. Now, there's been some more super chats. I've got to catch up here a little bit. Frank Musico, $10. Thank you for that. Matt Dugas with an amazing $70. Thank you. That's just incredible. That's very generous of you. Thank you. Ezra, the UN want to shut down fishing in NS, imposing a marine protected area, Eastern Shores. Isn't that interesting? Justin, can you find my tweet? I retweeted the Deputy Secretary General or something of the United Nations. Someone high up at the United Nations endorsed Justin Trudeau and his Liberal Party today, which is very weird. And I responded by retweeting with a picture of George Soros. Can we show both the underlying tweet and my reaction to it? Because I think that's part of it here. Keith McIntosh, 100 Mexican pesos, thank you. 2 YouTube questions. Does it make a difference if we close ads or allowed to run? 2. When I search Rebel Media on YouTube, some same CBC video from 2 years ago always shows up as number 1. Is that paid for? Thank you, Keith, for those questions. The ads make us like 1/10 of a cent. So, I mean, you can watch them or not. It is such a small amount of money, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's not like you're doing me a huge favor if you find the ads cumbersome. Thank you for asking, though. But we just make almost no money off ads. That was a change. I mean, until 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we made a ton of money on ads, and we were building our company on ads. But since then, we've had to move to crowdfunding because we've been demonetized. Your second YouTube question is why some CBC video comes up high in the search, and that is not because it's paid. That is because of YouTube's own political bias. I should tell you that just last week, YouTube took away our verification check mark. You know, when you're a verified account, that means you're authenticated, so no one can do a knockoff of you to try and confuse the market. You know what I'm talking about. On Twitter, it's a blue check mark. On YouTube, it's a little check mark. So obviously we're authenticated. We've been doing this for 4.5 years. We published 13,000 videos. We've got 1.27 million subscribers. When we hit 1 million subscribers, we got this gorgeous plaque sent to us with a letter from Susan Wojcicki, the president of YouTube herself, a letter complimenting our achievements. So the company knows who we are. The president of YouTube herself wrote to congratulate us. So we just were de-verified in the middle of the campaign. I don't believe that's natural at all. And we're still de-verified. Some people were de-verified and brought back. We're still de-verified. So that means the CBC or a politically correct channel that does a video about us is going to be higher in the rankings. That's a political choice by the YouTube rankings. YouTube staff, Google staff, meddle with the ranking order all the time. It's just what they do. So yeah, it's not paid for. It's something that YouTube does ideologically, which I think is even more gross. All right, it's 12:54. I think I read the super chats. Did I cover all the super chats? Yeah, I have the tweet, but she took down. Oh, she took down her tweet, eh? Isn't that funny? Well, I tweeted Christiana Pasca something, who endorsed Trudeau, but you can see that she deleted her own tweet. But my response is there. Justin Trudeau picks up the endorsement of the globalists of the United Nations. He already bagged the endorsement of George Soros. And there's Trudeau and Soros. Isn't that funny? I didn't think to screenshot the United Nations. I guess they're told, look, we meddle behind the scenes. We don't tell people about our meddling. That's bound to make the odd Democrats angry. But we all know. Anyways, listen, I think the campaign is a hoot. I think it's very unusual. I think the blackface story is so big it sucked all the air out of the room. And as the streeters suggest, maybe it's a bigger deal for the opinion elites than for grassroots voters. But so what? That's totally dominated the messaging for the Liberal Party for the last week. And it's taken some energy out of their attacks on the Conservatives in the same vein. Oh, you're racist, oh, you're sexist. Sure, they're still going to make those attacks, but they're blunted now. And finally, I mean, we saw some visible minorities saying, yeah, I don't really care. But I have to believe that some people care. Harjit Sajjan himself said it is racist, it was racist. I think so. I think it has more resonance in the United States from their history of slavery, from the Jim Crow laws. It's very specifically a black thing, a slave thing. So in Canada, if someone is East Indian by heritage and not black, it won't have the same resonance. And because we didn't have slavery here, it won't have the same resonance. So I think Canadians are maybe more offended by the fact that Trudeau is such a liar about it. The same thing about his feminism. He lies about being a feminist to cover up his misogyny. So when it's revealed that he's a serial groper, even if the underlying groping was not atrocious, people say, oh my God, for 10 years you've been saying that you're this ultra-feminist and now we realize you're a groper. You're not just a groper, you're a groper and a deceiver and a liar and an imposter. That's my point, is the blackface was bad. I don't know anyone who's done blackface ever. And he did blackface on and off for 30 years, in his teens, 20s, and as late as 29. He had a blackface kit. He even took it on his whitewater rafting trip. Who does that? Things to pack, beef jerky, trail mix, tents, and my blackface kit. Like, it's just so crazy. So to learn that someone is that weird about race for decades, if I was a young activist on campus, especially if I was a minority, if I was really woke and progressive, I'd have to say, is he laughing at me? Is he laughing at me? Am I being conned here? Is this just some grift? And I think it is. I think it is. Listen, I want to do one last thing. Can you go to campaign2019.com? So we set up a website. I want to ask for your help, and thank you. We've had some extremely generous super chats, very, very, very generous. But for those who, I want to show you some of the stuff we're up to. Scroll down a little bit. Scroll down. A little down. I think we show it. Maybe we're not. We got the book. We got the lawn signs. We got Jumbotron trucks. I guess there's not that much to see. But we're looking to raise money. You can see, help fund our election plans. You see that there. Help fund our airfare. Help fund the Libranos book. Help fund the distribution of the lawn signs. Yeah. Billboards. It's all there. So if you can help us out with our campaign costs to keep our people flying, please do. All right, folks, well, it's almost 1 p.m. and I'm out of video clips, so I'm going to call it quits there. I really appreciate you taking the time, and for those of you who chipped in with a super chat, thank you extra much for that. Until tonight's show at 8 p.m. Eastern, which I would encourage you to watch, on behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters, to you at home, goodbye, and keep fighting for freedom.